All right, good morning, Harbor Christian. It's so good to hear. Our sanctuary is so full, and good morning to those on Zoom. Let's go ahead and welcome our child to bring in the light. Yeah, you can stay seated. Oh, thank you, Azalea. Extra special to have a crowned acolyte this morning. And congregation, let's go ahead and stand on our feet as we open our service in song.
Who breaks the power of sin and darkness? Whose love is mighty and so much stronger? The King of glory, the King above all kings. Who shakes the whole earth with holy thunder and leaves us breathless in awe and wonder? The King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Who brings our chaos back into order? Who makes the orphan a son and daughter? The King of glory, the King above all kings. Who rules the nations with truth and justice, shines like the sun in all of his brilliance. The King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing
Sounded gorgeous. Go ahead and say good morning to your neighbor while we set for our next song. Good job. Sounded great. Huh? You have a hard time with? Yeah. You know what? No, we'll work through it. That's a good thing to know. Maybe we'll take a look at that this Thursday and just see and work through some basics.
I think that was one of our first times doing this song this season.
It is. And we didn't rehearse it. Well, we as bassists didn't really rehearse it last week. So I think I was counting on us picking it up this week, yeah. All right, we're going to start heading into Open the Eyes. Go ahead and stay standing and say your good mornings, but join in song when you're done. Go ahead and stay standing as we sing Open the Eyes of My Heart.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. We cry, holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Lord, pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light
ahead and be seated.
Amen. Thank you, praise band. Macy, it's like you teleport over here for the second song. It's so good to see the band just doing new things. I love it. Well, good morning again. Welcome again, and to those who are joining us on Zoom, good morning. We're going to start with our call and response, our call to worship. And if you can please join me in reading the bolded letters. If you ask the sky who God is, the sky will tell you if God's reach. If you ask the day who God is, the sun will tell you of God's warmth. If you ask the night who God is, the moon will tell you of God's comfort. The heavens are telling the glory of God. Psalm 19:1. Are you listening? We are listening. We will sing of God's glory. Let us worship holy God. In our scriptures for today, Jesus asks the disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter says, "You are the Messiah." Have you ever wondered if his voice faltered when he said that? We may never know if he responded loudly and with confidence, or if he was shy or nervous or tentative. The text doesn't really provide those details, but we can trust that no matter how we speak, we know that God hears us. God is listening. So friends, please join me in the prayer to confession. Whether you whisper these words or speak them with conviction, may you trust that our gracious and loving God is listening with love. Please pray with me. Holy God, some days we are quick to declare your goodness. Like Peter, we see you in the midst, and we are confident in our faith. Other days we are distracted and uncertain, desperate for answers. Forgive us for losing sight of you. Some days we are quick to trust your blessings, trusting that we are called, that we can make a difference. Other days our praise falls silent and doubt creeps in. Forgive us for losing sight of ourselves. Know that fear and doubt are part of the journey of faith. But for the days when we are far from you and far from ourselves, we ask for your tender grace. Pull us closer toward you. Remind us of the mountaintop moments of our faith. Amen. Amen. I would like to call up our children and youth for a moment before Children's Church. Good morning. How we doing? Are we awake? Are we a little tired from all the partying that was happening yesterday? I heard there was a bounce house and lots of pizza. Yes, did some of us have some of that? Some of us did, okay. Well, I am glad that you are here this morning. Even if you're still a little sleepy, you made it, and that's what counts. Today in our scriptures, although we're doing a different one in Children's Church than we're doing in Big Church out here, thank you, you're still going to hear some similar themes and topics. And so our story today is about Jesus and Bartimaeus. Does anyone remember who Bartimaeus is? Or what the story is about? No, okay. Well, in this scripture, Jesus is going towards Jerusalem. He's on the road, and he encounters Bartimaeus. Bartimaeus can't see, but he can hear. And so as he hears Jesus passing by him, he calls out for him. But then people get in the way. They get in the way of him being able to connect with Jesus. But he calls out again, and Jesus hears him, and he stops. And he asks them to help bring him to Jesus. And he does, and he asks him, "What do you want?" And he simply says, I want to see. And so Jesus says, you are healed. And he is. And that seems like a very, very simple interaction for something that could be so miraculous. I have pretty bad sight, but I'm not blind. And so I don't know what that experience is like. But I can imagine that that could be a massive turning point in his life. All of a sudden, Bartimaeus is like a new person because he is seen and believed and loved by Jesus in that moment. To connect that to our scripture for today, Jesus is asking, who do people say that I am? Peter says, you are the Messiah. And Messiah, that's a big word. And that is a moment where Jesus is asking his disciple how he sees him. And so today, kind of our theme is about being seen. Has anyone ever felt that before, what it feels like to be seen? When someone actually sees you, like, whoa, I see you as a leader. I see you as a kind person. I see you as an artist or a performer. There's ways that we're seen, and there's also ways that sometimes we're not seen. Has anyone ever felt that before when you're not seen? I'm seeing more heads nodding for that one. That's real, right? There's moments where we're not seen. We might be there, we might be trying our best, but others don't see us. And yet we know that Jesus and God as our creator sees us. And so the question I'll leave for you as we head into Children's Church is, what is it you want to be seen as in this world? And how can we be the ones who help see others? Here in this community, we celebrate a lot of different things about each other. We go to each other's shows and performances and celebrate things that we do in our lives. And so we are a space and a community where we get to see each other. And so how can we do that outside of this building, outside of just this community? I'll give you some time to think about that today. Are we ready for worship?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We are ready. Let us worship.
Oh, let's all say happy birthday to Azalea as she walks out.
Happy birthday.
Her birthday's actually today.
Yes. Happy birthday. I'm going to go off mic. Love you, Azalea.
I hope you feel seen,
Happy
little one.
Birthday. Now we're feeling a little shy. That's okay.
All right, and we'll invite Gary forward for our mission moment. Thank you, Gary. It's already on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My apologies first off, because my topic for the message today is about a date that has already passed. I want to talk about these. You may be familiar with these. These red envelopes are given out each year during Chinese New Year, which was on February 10th of this year. Now, at my age, I don't get to experience many firsts anymore, but this is the first time I was ever given a red envelope. The envelope contains a gift of money. Red envelopes are given to family members, friends, colleagues as a symbol of good luck and blessings for the new year in China and some other Asian countries. The red color denotes good luck, fortune, happiness, abundance, and wards off evil spirits. There are rules for giving the red envelopes. For example, only cream crisp bills can be put inside, and the amount should always be an even number. Check it out. I got a $2 bill. There are also rules on how to properly receive the envelope. They should always be received with both hands. A slight bow is seen as a sign of respect and gratitude. Envelopes should never be opened in the presence of the giver. Now you're probably wondering how a goofy white boy from New Jersey got a red envelope. Since I retired, I started doing some volunteer work. It keeps me busy and out of my wife's hair. Around the time of Chinese New Year's, an elderly Asian lady came into where I volunteer and handed out red envelopes to everyone who was working there. I had never seen her before, and only one other person knew her. She was handing out envelopes to virtual strangers that she had never met before. It didn't matter who they were. I noticed the thing is that she was so happy to do it. I would say she was even joyful. You could see that she was delighted to share her culture, her treasure, her blessings, with nothing expected in return. I was very impressed. It reminded me of the Bible verse of Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 9:7. Each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, but for God loves a cheerful giver. Today, we have to give what is in your heart by placing your offerings in the plates at the back of the church. You can also pay online by PayPal or Zelle. So at this time, could you please place your offerings in the back of the church? Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity to give what is in our hearts. Please bless these gifts and put them to your good works. Amen.
Thank you, Gary. That was beautiful. All right. Well, we're going to take some time this morning to pray together. And I have a prayer that I wanted to lift up. I got a text message this morning from Annabelle in Las Vegas. She's actually here visiting family, but isn't able to come because of family things. And she was asking for prayers for her husband, Mike. Y'all remember he's a lineman in Las Vegas. And we've had some pretty heavy storms and lots of wind. So he is working nonstop along with all of the other crews. One of the things Mike shared with me when he came out for the Tamalada in January is that he's the first responder, right? We hear about first responders coming, but when there is an electrical issue, the first responders have to come and fix the electrical issue before anyone else can even come in to do the other work. And so let's just be in prayer for all of the linemen out there working hard in the wind and the storms and all the rain, for their safety, and just in gratitude for what they help us keep on, the lights on. So let's be lifting Mike in prayer. Are there other prayers this morning in the community that we would like to lift? Caroline, let me give you the microphone.
My grandmother, Corky, has a best friend named Carol, and she has been my aunt. She has twin daughters, Kim and Christine. And Christine is about 60, and I've known her my whole life. I've worked for her, and she's been a dear friend. And she has brain cancer and lung cancer, and she just took a nasty turn, and she's expected to pass this week in Oregon. And my Aunt Carol is there watching her daughter die. So I pray for their family, for my family, that they have comfort and peace and harmony during this passing.
Thank you for sharing, Caroline. We will be praying with you in grief. One of the beautiful things about community is that we can join each other in grief and join each other in joy as well. So we'll be joining you in grief this morning. Are there others that would like to lift up a prayer for themselves, for their family? And we'll come to you in a moment, Zoom, if anyone wants to prepare to share. Heather?
We have a busy week ahead of us with the play, last few days of Full Tech, and then all the shows. And personally, we have quite a few family members coming from all over, flying in, driving in, many of whom will stay with us at different times over the next week. So just keep us in your prayers as we navigate through this week.
Will do. We can also pray with each other in our busyness. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? I'd also just like to lift up a prayer of joy for my daughter turning 17. She's not quite there. She'll be 17 on Wednesday, right? That's the 6th. Yes, Wednesday. But we had a really fun little party for her yesterday, and wasn't that little, but it was a lot of fun, and she had a great time, I think. So thank you for the community and all your love and care for my children over the last, 6-7 years now. So she was 10 when we moved here. Now she's almost 17 and driving. So thank you for your love and care all these years. It has meant the world to all of us. All right, any others in person have a prayer they'd like to lift up before we see if anyone on Zoom is got something for us? Are we able to hear from Zoom this morning? Yes? Okay, Zoom, do you have anything? No? All right, let's pray together. And as we've been doing through the Lenten season, we're not using as many words during prayer time. We're just really imagining those who've lifted prayers in thriving and peace and whatever it is they've asked for. So that's what we're going to practice this morning with the prayers that were lifted. And then I want you also to think of the prayers that are on your heart that you either aren't able to lift at the moment or not ready to lift. How can you imagine yourself and your thriving in those moments? Let's pray together. Beautiful God, we give thanks for our time this morning of singing and sharing, just being community together. And we know that part of community, God, is the willingness and the courage to be seen, to raise our hand and say, I have something to share. I have something on my heart. And so we give thanks for those who've shared this morning. And we also want to remember those who aren't yet ready to share. You might have something on their hearts that's aching or hurting or just feels really tender. And we lift that to you also. So this morning we want to just imagine Mike Quintanilla and all of his crew, all of the linemen who are working so hard to keep the power on. Not just his crew, but crews all across our state and really all across our country. And we know that they put themselves in great danger to keep the lights on. And we give thanks for them. And we just imagine them working in safety, working efficiently, getting to rest. And we also pray, God, that they are treated well. They are respected in their communities. They are paid well for their incredible time. And we give thanks as we picture Mike and we picture Annabelle, who's worried for his safety. And we just pray peace into them. And again, we give thanks. In the same way, God, we want to pray some peace over Caroline's family. There's going to be loss, and it's heavy. It's hard to lose someone we love, especially with so little time to say goodbye. And so we hold Christine, her mother, her family. We just surround them in our vision right now with grace and peace and love and forgiveness and all of the things that they deserve right now. We also pray peace over Caroline and her family as they process this grief. And we give thanks for lives well lived. We also give thanks for lives that trip up. And so whatever it is that needs lifting right now in Carolyn's family, we lift it to you. This morning, we also want to pray peace over the Earnhardt home as they experience lots of busyness this week. Joyful busyness, but busyness nonetheless. And we pray for intentional movement, quiet moments, and rest wherever it's possible. We also lift up all of the hard work that's gone into these productions that include several of our youth here, and also the tireless work of Heather and the support of David. And we just give thanks for all of it. God, we also bless those who are turning another year older. We give thanks for Indigo, for her joy, for her 17 years. 7 of them lived here in Orange County. What a blessing that has been. And how can we not pray for little Azalea, turning 7 today? What a gift and what a joy. We surround her in love and grace and peace. And God, all the unspoken prayers in the room, we lift them to you now as we hold a moment of silence. Together we breathe in your peace, and we breathe out your love, reminding ourselves that we also are spirit. It's in the name of your Son, Jesus the Christ, we pray. Amen. And now I'm going to be honest, I can't remember who has our prayer this morning, our poetry prayer. Does anyone know? Heather has it. Excellent. I'm so glad you're prepared.
Praise the Mount. I have stayed quiet before. I have held my tongue while passing mountains. I have slipped my hands deep into pockets, despite the music that invites me to dance. I have glimpsed a new moon and a new love, and have acted as if it was something other than a complete God-given miracle. But not today. Not today. Today I will dance. Today I will tap my toes all the way to heaven's gates. Today I will point out every shade of gold and periwinkle that we pass. Today I will talk about my faith like we talk about the weather, early and unprompted, comfortable and unashamed. Today I will tell you that God did such a good job with freckles, willow trees, and your entire being. And I will not be embarrassed by my own conviction. I will not swallow my praise. I have stayed quiet before, but not today. Today I will sing.
Okay, Harbor, we're going to stay seated as we sing our song, Your Hands, that we've been learning over the past few weeks. Unanswered prayers.
I have unanswered prayers.
I have trouble I wish wasn't there.
I have trouble I wish wasn't there.
And I have asked 1,000 ways.
And I have asked 1,000 ways.
That you would take my pain away.
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 All right, we're gonna sing verse 2. Here we go. I am trying to understand.
I am trying to understand
how to walk this weary land.
how to walk this weary land.
Make straight the paths that crooked lie.
Make straight the paths that crooked lie.
Oh Lord, before these feet of mine.
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 Great job, church. I love hearing your voices singing, repeating on that verse. We're gonna learn the chorus together. We've sung this a couple times, but I'm gonna sing a little bit and then you're gonna sing a little bit so we feel super comfortable with this first. I'll sing first. Here I go. When my world is shaking, heaven stands. Okay, your turn. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. When
my world is shaking, heaven stands.
Now the second two lines are almost the same. It goes, when my heart is breaking, I never leave your hands. When my heart is breaking, I never leave your hands. Praise team, can we play that chorus again? And congregation, let's all sing together. Here we go.
When my world is shaking, heaven stands. When my heart is breaking, I never leave your hands.
Beautiful. Let's sing verse 3.
When you walked upon the earth, when you walked upon the earth, you healed the broken, lost and hurt. You healed the broken, lost and hurt. I know you hate to see me cry. I know you hate to see me cry. One day you will set all things right. One day you will set all things right. Oh, one day you will set all things right. One day you will set all things right.
Let's sing the chorus together. Here we go. 2, 3, 4.
When my world is shaking, heaven stands. When my heart is breaking, I never leave your hands. Your hands, your hands that shape the world are holding me. They hold me still. Your hands that shape the world are holding me. They hold me still. When you walked upon the earth, when you walked upon the earth, you healed the broken, lost and hurt. You healed the broken, lost and hurt. I know you hate to see me cry. I know you hate to see me cry. One day you will set all things right.
One day you will set all things right.
Oh, one day you will set all things right.
One day you will set all things right.
Thank you, church. You sound beautiful.
You all sound beautiful. Thank you. That was fun. I think you guys are liking some of the new songs. Yes? Good. I'm glad. Okay, well, good morning. Welcome to those who are new or who we haven't seen in a while. We are so glad you're here. Today, we are talking about names. Names matter. And so I'm going to start by reading our scripture this morning. I don't usually do that, but I'm going to start this morning by reading our scripture where we see Peter name Jesus, and then we watch Jesus turn around and name him right back. So we're going to read out of chapter 16, verse 13 is where I will begin. Peter's declaration about Jesus. Now, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do you say that the Son of Man is?" And they said, "Some say John the Baptist, but others Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And Jesus answered him, "Blessed are you, Simon of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Then he sternly ordered the disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. So I said we were going to talk about names today, And before we jump into the scripture, I just want to say that in our church, we have a plurality of beliefs, and what it might mean to be Messiah might be different for one of you sitting next to someone who has a very different interpretation about what it means to be Messiah. And the way I like to look at this is to say your personal private beliefs are none of my business unless you would like to share them, and then I would love to hear them. But when we share, we need to keep in mind that we are a diverse community. And so in this room, there are people who believe in the literal messiahship of Jesus. And in this room, there are people more like me who see it as a figurative way that Jesus spoke of himself, so that we could all see within ourselves the children of God that we are and the living God that also occupies our bodies. So I want us to kind of look at this in a wide and broad way. And when you're in your discussion groups today, just understand that you're going to get to hear some things that are going to feel different to you. And what Christ does is call us into community where we share our beliefs with each other, where we share our lives with each other. And in the sharing, all are changed. Does that make sense? Nobody here has it all figured out, including me. I might have it less figured out than the rest of you. But certainly no one in here has it all figured out. And it is in the sharing that we evolve together. All of us change. So just wanted to put that out there first, because you might hear some things today that you're like, I don't understand what that means. And I don't know, I thought we believed this. Harbor is not a church based on beliefs. We don't come here because we all believe the same thing. We come here because we're all looking for the same thing, which is to be seen in community, right? We're all looking for that. So I thought we'd start today with the idea of names, because names really, really matter. When we name our children, I don't know about you, but I spent hours deciding on my children's names, because this is something that they're going to introduce themselves with for the rest of their lives. It's a big deal. I'm reminded in Genesis how the creatures are named lovingly. They are noticed. They are affirmed. And I'm reminding myself of the hours of reading through lists of names until what inspired me. And for my daughter, Indigo, I'm going to tell a little story. This is my story. I'm not telling it about her. This is a thing that Ryan and I went through before she was born. We had a name picked out for her. It wasn't Indigo. It was another beautiful name, the name of a tree. I hear it now and I think, how could I think this was her name? But it was Alder. I love alder trees, and her name was going to be Alder Rose. And that would have been a beautiful name. But then a couple of days before she was born, a friend of mine said, I heard this name and I just thought of you and I just had to tell it to you. And she said, Indigo. And I thought, oh my God, that's her name. I could feel her almost kick inside of me. That's my name, right? But I had made such a stink about, no, her name is Alder Rose. And I had all these signs that this was the right name. I won't get into that now. So I went to my husband. We went to dinner at a place nearby, where the hospital where I had Indigo, just a couple days later. And we were at dinner and I very nervously said, so I heard a name today. And he rolls his eyes because he's tired of listening to the name thing. He's like, okay, we've picked a name. How many times? And I said, no, I heard a name today. And I told him, and he loved it immediately. And so we stopped and we're like, okay, we're going to wait until she's born, and then we're going to decide. And there was no doubt in either one of our minds that that was Indigo. When she was born, that was Indigo, and it has been her name ever since. We used to think she'd be called Indy. Nope, she never wanted to be called Indy. She started out calling herself Go, because she couldn't do all the syllables, and then it became Ego, and then it became Egigo, and finally Indigo, and it is the name that has been hers ever since. I also have a name story about Willow, and I'll just briefly say that I named her after the wind in the willows. That's what I named her after. In 9th grade, I read the book, and it was magical, and I loved the idea of the willow trees over the river, and I said, someday I'm going to have a daughter and name her Willow, but for some reason I knew that Indigo wasn't Willow. I don't know how I knew that, but Willow is Willow. Yes? Yes. Names matter. I'm sure you all have a story of how you got your name or how you gave someone a name. And it's a beautiful thing that today we're going to spend some time in. Nicknames. Who has a nickname? Anyone? Who had a hurtful nickname? Anyone get a hurtful nickname when they were a kid? Whew, that matters too, doesn't it? That can knock you over as a child when you have a name that can be easily made fun of or someone decides to figure out a way to use it against you. Our names matter. Whether we're pouring love and light into the name or anger and hurt into the name, it matters. Many of us have meanings behind our names. You whole books of this name means this. And sometimes the name's meaning really resonates with you, and other times it may not. But we are obviously, as a society, pretty fixated on names. So what is it about being named and known that is so important? Just sit with that question for a moment. What is it that made Azalea stand up today when we sang happy birthday to her? Just that little moment. What is that? That little part of us that stands up a little straighter when we recognize that someone really sees us. And beyond the surface stuff, right? That they can kind of look right into our soul and see something precious about us. What does that do to your whole system? Right? Just think for a moment. And we see in the scripture that even Jesus had a need to be seen and known. Even the one we come and talk about every Sunday morning, whatever your ideas of the Messiah are, he had a need in this moment to also be seen and known by his dearly beloved community of disciples. And I want us to sit for a minute with how radical what he asked of Peter and really of his disciples, how radical of a question that was. Because we're talking about Judaism inside of Roman-occupied land. And to have Jesus, a Jew, remember, Jesus was born, lived, and died a devout Jew. He was not here to start a new religion. He was here to teach a way of living that would work anywhere. His purpose wasn't to say, I got it all figured out. His purpose was to say, there's a way we can love each other and talk to each other and treat each other that works no matter what your religion is, that works no matter who you are or where you're from or what your background is or what language your mother sings you to sleep with. Doesn't matter. It'll work. That's what he came for. And yet, we can see through Scripture how often the religious elite were very threatened by this authentic man who walked through the world meeting people and choosing to see them instead of see their culture, their religion, their race, all the things that we use to divide ourselves. Jesus said, nope, I look here to the heart. That's what I see. This is radical, that he's asking a group of Jewish men, who do you see that I am? Because the response means that they're going to have to question all of the belief systems and structures that they have been fed all of their lives. And some of you know how that feels, to suddenly come to a place in your life where, oh my goodness, all of the things that I've been taught, that I've learned, they almost feel like they don't work anymore. And I've got to figure a new thing out. And so that's what's happening in this moment where Jesus is asking a group of Jewish men to see him for who he is, which is the way, the truth, and the life. Away from the restrictive religions that most of us have spent our lives either living in and trying to survive in restrictive boxes, or we try to escape the box. Those are the two things. And Jesus says there's this whole other way that doesn't even need a box. You're not in it or out of it. It's just a whole other way of living where the box doesn't actually matter anymore because we can just see each other. We don't have to wait for the religious elite to tell us that it's okay. And so this moment took so much courage And I'm really kind of in awe of Peter. Think of it like this. If someone sat next to you and said, "Who do you say that I am?" and you knew they wanted you to say, "I'm Jesus, come again." Would you say that? Would you be able to say that? Many of you lifelong Christians. How hard would it be for you to see the Christ returned again? This is the question that Jesus is asking Peter. See me for who I am right now. I think it takes more courage than what we saw Peter do last week. What did Peter do last week? He walked on water, and we thought, whoa, that's a lot of courage to jump out of the boat. Well, guess what? That happened first in Matthew. Peter needed that experience of walking on water and then sinking and being held by Christ. He needed that experience before he could muster the courage to say, "I see you, you're a new way. You're a new way. You're the one who's going to show us how to save ourselves." And what's the answer? How do we save ourselves? We build community. It's the only thing that ever saves anything. Salvation's not about speaking little magic words. It's about doing the beautiful and hard work of weaving ourselves together into community that sees. Do we see that? Not just show up in conformity and uniformity, but we show up in a space and say, "You are so different from me, but I see you." That is what saves. That's what will save the world if we could only do it. So here Jesus asks Simon and all the disciples to declare, "What do you see? Who do you say I am?" I wonder if this response that Simon gave is why Jesus was able to see him as Peter, the rock on which the church will be built. Because Simon, now Peter, had the courage to see the new thing that was right in front of his face. And not just to see it, but to speak it, to name it in front of other people. That takes a lot of courage. Like I said, more courage than walking out on the water. I think that deviating from the things that we're taught as children about what is community, the things that our families teach us, the things that our friends teach us, to deviate from that in any even small way takes an immense amount of courage. And that's what Peter the rock does in this scripture. I wonder how many of you have ever spoken truth to power as your body and your voice completely trembled. Just take a minute. Power doesn't have to be a big thing. It might just be your spouse. It might just be the neighbor. But when have you spoken truth to power and felt everything within you tremble? But you did it anyway. You stood strong and you said what needed to get said. Whew, that's heavy. Lots of courage. How many have stood up for the bullied and the abused, knowing the high chances that bullying and abuse will now be turned on you? That takes courage too. How many of you have boldly danced and sung to the beat of your own drum, the sound of your own music, not worrying what others will say about it? That's still a hard one for me. To just do what I'm going to do and not worry. If someone doesn't understand it, might not be meant for them to understand. That's a hard one. In asking Simon to speak the truth in that moment, Jesus is asking him to call into question all he has ever known, for better or for worse. And he stands there, Peter, vulnerably, and he says it. "You are the Son of the living God. I see." And Jesus' response, "Follow me, and you will be the rock on which I build this church." Peter, a fisherman with a hot head. He's the rock on which Jesus the Christ is going to build the church, not the very distinguished Pharisee, not the very distinguished community leader, but Peter, the one who hangs out down on the shoreline and pulls fish out of the ocean for a living. That doesn't sound like the kind of person we would use as the rock to build the church on, and yet Jesus isn't looking for the person with all the credentials laid out. He's looking for the person with heart, the person who's ready to be strong, to have courage, to say the thing that needs to get said, even when your body and voice is trembling. That's who Jesus is looking for. And if Peter will follow him, he will build the church on him. So my next question is, who are you? Where do you come from? Because it matters. It's part of your story that weaves together with mine and with everyone else in this room and with everyone you meet in your life. And this weaving and co-naming that we do in community is what makes us strong. I see you, I name you, you see me, you name me, and we become something greater than we started. Last week, we shared with Rhoda in word and cards. Many of you brought cards. We shared with her who she is. Rhoda, how did it feel to hear how your community sees you?
It was just wonderful. The cards were so, everybody wrote something wonderful about me. And, I've been feeling kind of like it was maybe my time to go. I had some physical problems, and I really thought I was dying. But I got rejected, so so I didn't die.
Can you say that again? I forgot we've got Zoom. I don't want them to not hear you.
But I just thank you all. And some of the teenagers wrote the most beautiful things on the cards. The cards were all beautiful, and when I got home, my daughter was there from Maine with her husband, and my daughter and my son-in-law from here, and we all sat around, and I read all the cards out loud to them, and I still have them all. So it made me feel like I had a new beginning, and maybe I'm not going to die after all. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. Not yet.
So I'll make a new goal to make it to 100, and then we'll see what happens. But thank you all. It was so wonderful and gave me such a lift. It really did.
There you have it. To have a moment in your life where we see you and we write it down and you get to read it, it gives you life. Even when you're 98, it gives you life, a whole new lease on life. This is the power of answering that question, who do you say I am? For the ones you love, and also asking others to answer it for you. Why do we wait until someone is gone from the earth in their physical body to tell them what we see? Why do we wait? Jesus is saying in this moment, tell me right now. My time here is short. I'm living a life that's going to put me in conflict with the people of power. I'm not going to live very long. Jesus would have known that. Who do you say I am? While I'm here right now, who am I? Do we see the beauty in it? And then when we do this with each other, you just heard what it does. And it doesn't have to be a big thing, right? Sometimes it's a small comment you make. It doesn't always have to be a party, but when you hit 98, you deserve a big party every year, in my opinion. That's quite an accomplishment. So what I want us to do today is I have a couple of questions, and we're going to just discuss them. So those of you who are a little new, we spend about 7 to 10 minutes just in small groups answering some questions. And our discussion questions today are, when have you received a name or affirmation that encouraged you on your journey of faith? And then the other one, if that one doesn't feel right, because I know names can be a little difficult for some people, What are the mountaintop moments of your faith when you felt like God was close? How do you anchor yourself in those memories when life gets hard? Okay, and I want you to think for a moment. I know that we are a community that sits in heaviness too, and we have to do that. But for this second question, really think about what's that moment where I just felt like, whew, I've got something right now. This is special. Because that's what we hold on to when our life gets hard, when the world gets hard. So those are our 2 questions today. We'll spend about 7 to 10 minutes discussing them, and then we'll come back, and any group that would like to share out will get an opportunity to do that. Are we ready? Okay, let's make sure we include some of the new people who are here today. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, when you're ready, if you come back to your seats, this is always the hard part, to get you guys back. And I'm wondering who would like to share with us. This is always the hard part. I was like, okay, just standing here. All right. Are we ready? I guess not. I got some unruly groups here, Rhoda. Okay, who wants to share? Who's got something they want to share with the big group that you either heard or that you shared with your group? Anyone? Come on. Should I just put the microphone in your face? You want to share? No? Okay. Rhoda's always got to share. That's great. We always need people to share.
We were talking about when we have received a name and affirmation that encouraged you in your journey of faith. And we were talking about names. Sometimes they were good. Sometimes they weren't. And I was telling them about the time I was in a Girl Scout training, and they were asking us, who do you think you are? You know, who are you? And people were saying all different kinds of things. And I said something about, well, I was a child of God. And so then ever after that, when they were referring to me, they'd say, well, child of God over there, thanks. So. And that, you know, I always remembered that. I thought that was something good, and yet it didn't turn out to be good.
Yeah. I think you're a child of God.
Yeah. Diego was saying about, he was raised in the Catholic Church, and he had moments that he really liked. He liked the sameness of it. He liked the ritual as a child. Mm-hmm. It was something he could depend on. It was always going to be the same. Grandma was going to be there, and Mom and Dad and everybody were going to be there. And it was something that he really depended on, the sameness of it. And whereas that turned some people off, that was a comfort to him.
Mm-hmm. That's a good example of our diversity, right? That we all are looking for different things. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else have something they want to share? Macy.
We didn't talk about this in our groups, but the whole conversation has been reminding me a lot about gender identity and pronouns and naming. And when you receive a name and people refer to you a certain way your whole life, and we talked about breaking out of boxes, when people refer to you your whole life as something maybe that doesn't fit you or that you don't resonate with, when you finally realize how you want to be referred to, you realize like what your name is, who you are, the feeling of joy and excitement at being called that is so just so affirming and really makes you feel like, oh, I can rest now, like I have a name. And it just, this whole conversation has been making me think about that.
Beautiful. I love that. That's great. It also shows the power of refusing to use a person's name and how harmful that can be. Why we have to take it seriously and respect people, right? So thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share what their group discussion was? How about on Zoom?
Yes, Cecilia, Margaret.
Okay, are they saying it or are you? Okay, Cecilia and Margreta, we're listening.
Okay, so we discussed number one, when have we received an affirmation that encouraged us on our journey of faith? And I shared that when I got baptized, Pastor Sadie called me beloved, and that made me feel really loved and encouraged, and it made me feel like, wow, like God not only loves me, but God sees me as beloved, and that was like super amazing. And Margreta agreed, and she said she felt the same way about being beloved.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing. You are beloved. All of us are. All right. Well, I have a few things to close us this morning. First, I want you to take some time this week to find someone in this community, a family member, a friend, someone at work that you interact with. And I want you to see what happens if you tell them what you see. Like we did for Rhoda. We told her in your cards, what do you see? Who is she to you? And I wonder what would happen with whatever that relationship is if you took a moment this week to name a person, to say, this is who I see you are. This is how beloved you are. This is how beautiful you are to me. And I wonder what that might do for them, but I also wonder what it might do for you. So I want you to do that this week. And I want you to watch your own community, whether it's here or somewhere else in your life, go deeper and become more connected when we have the courage to speak in vulnerability. Because it is vulnerable to speak to one another in this way. To say, I'm not just here to goof around and tell a joke with you. I actually see you, and I see how your presence makes a difference in my life and in the lives of others. It's very vulnerable to do that in a world that doesn't really want to hear those things, or would rather crack the funny joke, or be silly, or rude, right? Because we've had our names used in unkind ways as well. I really have said it already, but I'm going to say it again, that I think that it takes more courage to do that than to walk on water in a storm. It takes more courage to speak honestly to the people in our lives and to tell them who they are and who we see them to be and how much they mean to us. That takes more courage than stepping out of the boat in the storm. For me, when I've done these things in my life, and I do them often, it's part of my job, it can feel so overwhelming that sometimes it can make my whole system go haywire when someone will reach out to me and ask me to tell me what I need to hear right now because I'm on the edge and I'm hurting. Whew, thank you for thinking that I'm a person who can see you. That's a hard thing, right? What if I say it wrong? What if I speak the wrong words to someone who's on the edge? Guess what? You really can't. If you're speaking in love, you really can't. We're there to show each other, and we're not perfect, and we might not say it right the first time or the second or the 10th time. We might get someone's pronouns wrong. We might forget their new name. But when we forget in love instead of in sarcasm, in that sneering kind of way, we're forgiven. We're forgiven easily. So I really want you to think about, who can I show up vulnerably with and say, I see this really amazing stuff in you. It's always worth it, even when your whole system is trembling as you're speaking truth and love over someone else's life. Like Cecilia said, speaking belovedness. That is a tall order, but it's all of our order. We all are to do this in our lives, and it's always worth it. I have watched speaking out loud who a person is change lives, literally change lives. In fact, it changed my life when I was in high school, and I loved to write. had lots of words to share, lots of opinions and thoughts and lovely things that my teachers saw, but I was too shy to share them with the class because I usually had perspectives that were different from the kids I went to school with. And I was afraid of what they might think of me or say about me because I was so different from them. So I remember this one project in Mr. Thurston's AP Senior English class, and we were studying parodies, and he wanted us all to write our own parody, and people were choosing funny things, and I didn't realize I had been absent during the day where we were discussing what kind of parody we were going to choose. So one girl chose to make a parody out of getting cold after she'd shaved her legs in the shower, and then she shivered and had to shave them again. Like silly things, right? Like just nonsense. But I thought, oh, we're doing parodies. Okay. So I bit off writing a parody about the righteous religious people in my class and in the school who believed themselves to be superior to everybody else. And I wrote the parody where they were going to be up in heaven at the end times, laughing at all the others that were burning below. And I wrote this whole parody of all the people we kicked out of heaven. It was good. I wish I still had that darn paper. It was good. And it was well thought out. And I was actually calling out people in my class. And Mr. Thurston says, you need to read this. And I didn't want to read it. I was terrified to read it. And here I had just let it go because it was just Mr. Thurston going to read it. And he stood in front of me in 0 period AP English, and he put it on my table and said, you're reading this one today. And in forcing that, it was him seeing me. Wow, you wrote this amazing thing that needs to be heard. I wasn't much liked by a lot of kids after that, but it helped me see myself. Who am I? Yes, I'm the one who said the hard thing. And I got to stand in that. It totally changed my life. Having one teacher who barely even knew me other than the girl who writes really cool things but won't ever read them aloud, barely knew me. I never talked to him after graduation, but that action on his part of forcing me, not just naming me a good writer, but forcing me to stand up and show it, it changed my life. I don't think I'd be standing here today as a pastor speaking to rooms of people if I hadn't had that experience of someone seeing me and then expecting me to act on what they saw. So I share that just to let us know that this is extremely important in our lives for us to speak the truth to each other. Another example for that was being hired here at this church. I was young, I was a woman. I frankly couldn't believe that you all were even interviewing me. It didn't make sense to me. I thought, why? Why would you hire me? I knew other people who wanted the job at the time. Why would you hire me and not them? What would happen? Well, Thomas, Elaine's over there right now, but Thomas, he knew, he shared with me, I printed your papers, and as they were printing, I just knew you were our pastor. I just knew it. And I miss Thomas for so many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons that I miss him is that he saw what and who I was from the very beginning. And he never failed to tell me right in those moments, like Rhoda said, I started wondering if I really want to be around any longer. I have those moments here too at Harbor. I don't know if I want to be here anymore. And every single time, Thomas would say to me, don't you even think about it. You're our pastor. And how much that meant to me in those moments that were hard and heavy in the first years at this church, it gave me life. It allowed me to keep taking the next step. And he maybe never really knew how much it meant to me. And yet it was the thing that held me. I've felt that way with our entire executive council. Some of them aren't even on the executive council anymore. Matthew, Rhoda, Nan, Elaine, Stanley. Holding me through hard things, seeing you're the leader. You got it. We're holding you. You do what you're supposed to do. We got this. Whew. How much that has meant through the years to be believed in, even when I was having a really hard time believing in myself. We've all been there, right? Can't believe in ourselves, and then somebody shows us, I believe in you. and it shifts everything. It's my deepest hope and prayer that I've given back at least some of the love and care that I have received here. I hope I've been able to see you when you've needed it. And I hope that you know how much it means that you're here, seeing one another and weaving yourselves into deep community. Because when we're truly seen, it clears our eyes so that we too can see. May it be so. I'm going to call our praise team forward. I should have given them a little warning.
All right, congregation, we're going to sing Great is Thy Faithfulness. Will you please stand if you are able and join us in singing this hymn?
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever will be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
I'm going to invite Gary forward for our invitation to the table.
We gather around a lot of tables in this world, and each of them has a different hold on us. At the lunch table, we see our friends, but we also may see our insecurity. At the conference table, we may see dreams, big dreams, but we also may see competition or fear. At the family table, we see love and laughter and conversation, but we also may see seats that are empty or hear silence that feels lonely. We gather around a lot of tables in this world, but there are none like this one. Here at this table, we can bring the different pieces of ourselves, our dreams, our joys, our fears, and our insecurities, our pain and our hurt, and they will be welcomed. Here at this table, we show up hungry, and we are always leaved fed. Here at this table, we are met by a God who says, come in, the food is ready, the table is set, and this chair has your name on it. We've been waiting just for you. Friends, there are a lot of tables in this world, but there are none like this one. We have a seat saved for you. Come.
And will you all join us in our affirmation of faith before we partake in communion? I'm going to read the non-bolded lines, and you all will read the bolded lines. Jesus asked the disciples, "But what about you? Who do you say that I am?" Church, what do you say?
Jesus is a hand reaching out in the storm, the voice of truth spoken over us, and love without walls. Jesus is justice for the weary, healing for the hurt,
And welcome
for the stranger. Jesus is teacher, Messiah, and friend.
with me on the mountain, beside me in the valley.
Jesus is a star in the night, and the love that knows my name.
Jesus asked, "Who do you say that I am?"
Like Peter, we say, Jesus, you are the Messiah, Son of the living God.
This table is one of the biggest, for me, representations of who Jesus is. This table, a place to gather, to surround, to come together, to be seen and known, no matter who you are, no matter how you've walked, where you've walked, what you've done, what you haven't done, you're invited here. And so, church, when you're ready, if you could come forward, Gary's going to prepare the communion, and you will just slowly come forward, get your elements, and return to your seats where we will take them together. And so here we are, gathered around a table, just like Jesus gathered with his dear friends that night so long ago. And I love that he chose to gather his disciples in that upper room around a table, because throughout his ministry, he was always gathering around tables. And even when there wasn't a table in sight, he found a way to make it feel like there was a table that we could sit around and share life together. So this morning, I want us to remember those words as we look at our table and we remind ourselves that we're doing in the world what Jesus was asking his disciples to do, which is to gather and share life and then to go out in the world and do it there too. So today, let's remember that Jesus gathered with his friends and he took the bread and he blessed it and then he broke it and he said, "This is my body. It's broken for you to share, all of you. Let's take it together." And in the same way, Jesus took the cup and he blessed it and he poured it out and he said, "This is the cup of the new covenant. Things are going to change. We can change the world if we just do things a little differently." Let's take our cup this morning and remind ourselves we too can change the world. Will you please join me in the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Those of you who are new, we just moved announcements to the end, so we can forgive me on that one. Okay, really quickly, here's our announcements. We're going to go quick. All of our groups are meeting this week. We've had women's group on Tuesday nights at 6:30 on Zoom. Hope you can join us. Men's group Wednesday at the same time on Zoom. Choir is still on hold, but they're doing some good things with music. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you. We have our big justice event coming up on March 13th or 14th. It's a Thursday. We do this every year. We host it here for our clergy and laity united for economic justice. So some of you have already said you're coming. We have one seat left if anyone would like to join us that night. This is a night where we get to honor people who are doing work of justice in our community, specifically around labor issues and people being paid unfairly or mistreated. There's a lot of clergy in our Orange County and LA that together stand with workers, and this is an opportunity to honor the workers and to just have some really good food and enjoy an evening program together. So if you're that person who would like that seat, let me know. We have one seat left. All right, next one, spring brunch. Do we have a sign up today? Yes. Oh, awesome. Volunteer signups. A digital sign up. Uh-oh, people are getting a little nervous. I see all the heads shaking. We're gonna help, okay? So who's helping for signups for spring brunch? Heather is going to help. Gabriella is going to help. So all you need to do afterwards is find Heather or Gabriella, and they will help you with the digital sign up.
Is somebody going to work with Salim?
Yes, they're aware. I've let them know. Salim's will be joining us as well that day, so it'll be a lot of fun. That's March 24th, and that will be right after service. Okay, next one. We have the community performances coming up. High School Musical. We have a group going March 10th at 2 p.m. That's next Sunday, right? Next Sunday, yeah. Whew, that's coming up fast. That's what you were talking about, all that chaos. And then we also have Seaton's concert at UCI that is March 13th. If you have not gotten your tickets, Nan has them. You have how many? Maybe a few more people? Two more so if you ordered tickets and haven't gotten them, talk to Nan. And then Chicago for Mali is going to be in April. So put that on your calendar, April 13th at 7. Baptisms, we are going to have baptisms this year. We're going to be doing baptism on Sunday, March 31st, which is Easter. And then also April 28th, we'll be baptizing Rhoda's son, Tyler. So that'll be exciting. If you are thinking that you want to be baptized, then please let us know. Those are the dates for the spring season, and we'll have a conversation with you about what that means. And you'll decide if you're ready to step into the waters and name yourself beloved. All right, next one. That's it. Okay, I have one last little, Elaine?
If anybody still has a name tag with a heart, I have an Easter egg.
Okay. If you look at your name tag and you have a heart on it, you need an Easter egg. Elaine has it. See her after church. I have a really quick announcement that's kind of a fun thing, but we have a piece of furniture behind Macy, and it's an old roll top desk that we've had for years. And I thought it might make a really cool candle table that we could permanently have up as a beautiful candle table. And I'm wondering if there's a couple of you who might be creative and think of some fun ways to spruce it up a bit, so that we can have, many of you have asked for a place where you can go when you come into church. That kind of speaks to what Diego was saying about that ritual of I can come in and light a candle for something that is meaningful to me. But I really want it to be a beautiful space and something that feels like us. So if you have some creative desires, let me know, and we'd like to. Judy does. She definitely does. Judy, you've been volunteered, but there may be somebody else also who would like to do that. So that's just a little side announcement. Okay, I think that's it now. You guys can do the song.
Please stand for our closing hymn.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God our Creator, children all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Will you join me in our benediction? Beloved wanderer, as you leave this place, may you carry your curious heart on your sleeve. May you look for God in every face. May you find the courage to get out of the boat, to run to the tomb, and to speak of your faith. And when the world falls apart, may you hear God's voice deep within, saying, "Take heart, it is I, be not afraid." You are called, you are blessed. In both your ups and your downs, you always belong to God. Go now in peace. Go trusting that good news. Amen. And I have a special prayer that you all will join us for some leftover pizza from the party we had yesterday. We had a lot of extra pizza, so if you find yourself hungry, today's your lucky day. There is some pizza for you. I also hope that you will do what we talked about, to find someone and tell them what you see. Hallelujah and amen.